What am I rebelling against? What do you got?
So far, I went all the way back to the 1920s, known as the silent era for film. We then covered the 1930s and the 1940s, and now we've reached the 1950s, a decade of television, sci-fi, and monster films. This was the decade of new rising stars. These are the films that I feel defined the 1950s. The Seventh Seal. Up to this point, I haven't chosen any foreign films. There are many good ones, The Seventh Seal being one of them. It's a Swedish historical film. The story follows a knight returning from his crusade, with his squire being his only companion. The knight encounters death, and the knight challenges death to a game of chess.
Villkoret är att jag får leva så länge jag står dig emot. Spelar jag dig matt, förger du mig.
We follow the knight and his squire as they journey across the land, coming across people who joined them. At times the knight would see death, and the two of them would continue their game where they left off each time. The Middle Ages was a dreary time for people, and the black and white gives it this bleakness of what life was like living at that time. There was the Black Death, which was the plague. There are themes of religion, mainly Christianity. Even the title is a reference to the Book of Revelation. Plus, there's the chess game where the knight is literally playing for his life. The film at the time plays out like a live performance, and we, the audience, are the viewers, witnessing what these characters are doing. The film is based off a one-act play, tremålning, which is a Swedish word that translates to wood painting, by Ingmar Bergman, who was also the director of this film. The reviews for The Seventh Seal were divided in Sweden. Some saw it as a masterpiece. Others commented the film of being superficial. As for myself, I can't put it into words why I enjoyed this film. The Seventh Seal left me with this yearning to find meaning in my day-to-day life. Nothing big like the meaning of life. Just not to worry so much about the inevitable.
Du oroar dig. Döden besökte mig i morse. Vi spelade schack tillsammans. Den fristen ger mig tillfälle att uträtta ett angeläget ärende. Varför ett ärende? Mitt liv har varit ett jagande, farande, talande utan mening eller sammanhang.
My final thoughts about the film is how it touches on fate. And, quoting from Princess Mononoke, you cannot alter your fate. However, you can rise to meet it. A Streetcar Named Desire. Based on the stage play by Tennessee Williams, A Streetcar Named Desire takes place in New Orleans in the 40s. Blanche Dubois arrives from Mississippi to stay with her sister, Stella. Stella is married to Stanley Kowalski.
Oh, you're still sister?
He is.
Oh, hi.
Straight away, Blanche's brother-in-law isn't happy to have his wife's sister staying with them. Blanche is this talkative, carefree Southern belle, and Stanley is this crude, smoking, poker-playing brute who feels Blanche overstays her welcome.
Hey, Toots! Canary bird, will you get out of the bathroom?
There's a scene where Stanley lashes out on Stella in a drunken rage. It was shocking to see a man hitting a pregnant woman. Although the violence and the abuse isn't shown on screen, there were original cuts. I studied Tennessee Williams in college, and he based many of his characters from people in real life. Stanley Kowalski, for example, was based off his real father, who was a traveling salesman and was an alcoholic. Blanche's illusions clash with the brutal realism of her brother-in-law. Let's talk about the actor, Marlon Brando. Do you recall in my last video me mentioning that Humphrey Bogart was the heartthrob of the 40s? Well, in the 50s, that title, Sexy Man of the Decade, was given to Marlon Brando. He steals the show every time he's on screen.
Hey, Stella!
Marlon Brando was a method actor, and even though it made it difficult to work with him, he turned out some great performances. For this role, he said he took inspiration from a gorilla. Many actors mirror their characters based off an animal, believe it or not.
Don't you ever talk that way to me.
Vivien Leigh was fantastic in her role as Blanche. There's so much depth in her character that she won Best Actress at the Academy Awards that year.
Whoever you are, I've always depended on the kindness of strangers.
There are themes of toxic masculinity, the fragility of one's mental health, and the pressure of social structure, especially between men and women.
Oh, I could twist a broken end in your face.
If I could describe this film in one word, it would be bold. Very bold. Night of the Hunter. Robert Mitchum was one of those well-known actors, starring in film noir and western. Before he played Max Cady in the original Cape Fear, he played another iconic antagonist. In Night of the Hunter, he plays Harry, a serial killer disguised as a traveling preacher. Meanwhile, a family man stole 10 grand and hides the money somewhere that only his 2 children know. The father is arrested around the same time Harry is taken in for another crime. Harry learns about the money while sharing a prison cell with the father. Once Harry is out of prison, he finds the now widowed wife and the children and moves in with the family. He even goes as far as marrying the mother. Already, the character is a despicable scumbag. He swoons the wife, whom he knows is still grieving over her first husband, just so he can get his hands on the money.
That body was meant for begetting children. It was not meant for the lust of men.
Robert Mitchum is so terrifying here. He doesn't have to do much, but we, the audience, know that he's the bad guy. He has these words tattooed on his hands. On his left hand is the word hate, and on his right hand is love.
It was with this left hand that old brother Cain struck the blow that laid his brother low. Love.
When Harry realizes that the wife doesn't know where the money is, he goes after the children. That scene in the cellar where the children run up the stairs and Harry runs after them, just the way he moves, he's like the boogeyman. The film didn't do so well upon its release. Charles Laughton's career as a director was finished, and this was still his first and only film he's ever directed. It wasn't until many years later that viewers began to appreciate its visuals. It inspired future directors like Martin Scorsese, David Lynch, Spike Lee, William Friedkin, and Guillermo del Toro. High Noon. Gary Cooper began his acting career in the silent era up to the 60s. He had over 89 leading roles, even listed as one of the top 50 greatest screen legends. In High Noon, he plays Marshal Will Kane, a sheriff in a small town in New Mexico. He and his wife are about to leave so they can start a family. However, word is spread throughout the small town that a criminal that Sheriff Kane sent to prison has been released and is coming back to town to even the score.
And that ain't all. Ben Miller is down for depot now with Jim Pierce and Jack Colby. They asked about the noon train.
The noon train?
His wife, played by Grace Kelly, begs her husband to leave with her.
Don't try to be a hero. You don't have to be a hero, not for me.
I'm not trying to be a hero. If you think I like this, you're crazy. Look, Amy, this is my town. I've got friends here. I'll swear in a bunch of special deputies, and with a posse behind me, maybe there won't even be any trouble.
Because his honor's on the line, he refuses to turn his back. He tries to round up a group, but everyone he turns to either turns their back or comes up with an excuse on why they can't help him. Keep in mind, this was the West, where gunfights were common. Although we, the audience, respect our main character for not running away like a coward, but him walking into a fight could get him killed. I'll be honest, I'm not a huge fan of westerns, but I did enjoy High Noon. It had an engaging storyline and an honorable man as our lead role. While most westerns usually have chase scenes and big shootouts, High Noon had dialogue, with characters going from one scene to the next. It's all built up to a climax. We're seeing everything from an outside point of view, like the townspeople. All we can do is watch. The film was met with positive response for the most part. Ronald Reagan said it was one of his favorite films. John Wayne, however, wasn't a fan. I say give it a watch and decide for yourself. I did, and that's why it's on this list. The Wrong Man. I consider myself to be a fan of Henry Fonda. He always plays the voice of reason without being too preachy. Here, he plays Manny, an average family man who is arrested after being accused of armed robbery.
You've been identified by several witnesses as the man who held up the office of the Associated Life of New York in the Victor Moore Arcade building.
Imagine just walking into a bank one day, and the next thing you know, you're in handcuffs. I have to admit, it was kind of frustrating watching this film. I wanted to yell at the characters and tell him that he's not guilty, because we know he didn't do it. But with eyewitnesses and lack of evidence, it doesn't look good for our main lead.
I've been such an idiot, you'd all be better off without me.
None of it is your fault, Manny. You've just had a lot of bad breaks that can happen to anybody.
Yeah, what can I do?
It was based on an actual story, and the main character's first name is actually the name of the real person who was arrested on a case of mistaken identity. You can make the argument it really was just an honest mistake. The Wrong Man shows us the damages that a simple false accusation can cause.
What is it, Manny?
I was remembering the police car sitting over there about 1,000,000 years ago.
It's okay. You're home now.
Another great film by the master of suspense, Alfred Hitchcock. One that's not talked about enough in my opinion. Cinderella. Disney had a way of retelling fairy tales, making it kid-friendly. Because if you know the original story of Cinderella by the Grimm brothers, you can understand why they made some changes. The story of a girl named Cinderella and her father living happily, despite not having a mother. The father remarries a woman, and she and her 2 daughters move into the family home. But then the father dies, leaving Cinderella in the hands of her evil stepmother. Cinderella is now grown up, but has to live her life as a servant in her own home. Despite her circumstances, Cinderella remains kind, believing that someday her dreams will come true. When it's announced that a royal ball is to take place, ordering all the ladies of each household to attend, this means even Cinderella is allowed to attend. But the stepmother gives Cinderella too many chores, and she doesn't have a dress to wear. However, her mice and bird friends make Cinderella a dress, only for the evil stepsisters to rip it to shreds. Then her fairy godmother appears, and we all know the rest from there, with the glass slipper and all that. We know the story, we know the songs. Bibbidi Bobbidi Boop, Your Dream is a Wish, Cinderella, and This is Love. The one element that many people debate on is the main lead herself, Cinderella. She was the typical nice female lead who just does what she's told and still has her wish come true. True, there is a condition. We see how harsh her daily life is and the abuse she takes, but that doesn't mean she doesn't get mad or frustrated. She was human. And I like to think that even if she had a chance to run away, where would she go? She was kept isolated in the home, and aside from going out to feed the other animals, we don't see her go anywhere else. So, when she's allowed to attend the ball, we see her bewilderment as she enters this grand castle. The point is, I did like Cinderella, and if anyone deserves a happy ending, she did. I like the other side characters too. The mice were a lot of fun, even if it leads me to ask, why is it that the mice can talk but the other animals can't? The villain, Lady Tremaine, is probably the most hateable Disney villain. She takes pleasure in destroying Cinderella's life, preventing her to have any chance of happiness any way she can. But if I had to hate one other character even more, it had to be the cat. Seriously, who names their cat Lucifer? Cinderella is one of the original Disney princesses. There's the Cinderella Castle in Disney World, even though the logo has the Cinderella Castle on it. And then there's the fact that the film saved Disney Studio from going bankrupt. No, really, when the war happened, Disney lost connections and were in debt in $2 million. If not for Cinderella making over 80 times more in the box office, the studio would have gone bankrupt, and then we wouldn't have The Little Mermaid, The Lion King, Beauty and the Beast, or Aladdin, or even Frozen. Ben-Hur. I first saw this film on TV. I couldn't find the name of it. And after all these years, I finally found the name of the film. I was much older and my attention span was longer. Judah Ben-Hur is enjoying his life with his mother and younger sister. He's in love with the beautiful, kind woman, Esther. Messala, his childhood friend, arrives and tells Judah that he is the commander for Rome and has sided with the imperial power of Rome. He tries to pressure Judah to side with him. Judah, however, wants to remain faithful with his Jewish faith. This pisses off Messala, and the two friends cut ties.
If that is the choice, then I am against you.
Judah's mother and sister are brought in before the Romans, accused of a serious crime. Messala, still bitter towards his former friend, does nothing to defend them. In fact, he gets Judah arrested. From there, we watch Judah living the life as a prisoner. He then finds a way to escape and reclaim his freedom. It's a classic hero rising up again. There is another character that plays an important part in this story, but I'm not going to spoil it for you, for those who haven't seen the film yet. The film looks amazing. Rome is grand with its stadiums, pillars, and millions of citizens. You can tell how much time and money the production team spent constructing everything, especially the arena with the chariot race. The chariot race was the most famous scene of the film. The actor, Charles Heston, dislocated his wrist but kept it a secret because he was afraid of being replaced. He and some other actors received some minor injuries, mostly bruises. The chariot race was done in one take, and this was before CGI.
If you stay here, you will find yourself part of this tragedy. I am already part of this tragedy.
I didn't know this, but there was a 1925 version, as well as the 2016 remake. Ben-Hur may be over 200 minutes long, but trust me when I say it's worth your time. Seven Samurai. Written and directed by Akira Kurosawa, Seven Samurai was his most influential film that he has ever made. The story is about villagers who hire samurais to help them defend their village from bandits. The film takes place during the Sengoku period. The film perfectly captures the harsh reality at the time in Japan. The villagers manage to recruit 7 samurais. One of them is a self-proclaimed samurai, probably the least experienced, and has self-serving motives. He only wants the recognition of being a samurai. At first, he's rejected by the group, but after following them for some time, he's eventually recruited. The samurais are brought to the village, and from there, the samurais teach the villagers how to fight. Some of the villagers are resistant, and it takes them and the samurai to work out their differences. It's not about bloodshed, it's about protecting their loved ones, and in order to do that, they need to learn how to defend themselves. And when it's time to put their skills to use, it's an epic battle, probably the greatest and emotionally charged one ever on film. Akira was inspired by stories of the Edo period, of samurai that protected farmers from bandits. Samurais were the knights of Japan, warriors skilled in swordsmanship, archery, and held a strong code of honor. Even the word samurai means to serve. The film was so influential that America would make The Magnificent Seven only 6 years after Seven Samurai. Akira went on to direct other masterpieces, which I recommend everyone to check out. The Creature from the Black Lagoon. This was the first Universal monster film that I've watched. It was playing on TV, and it was probably the first black and white horror film that I've ever seen. I was absorbed by its visuals and storyline.
No! No! No!
A group of expeditions traveled by ship to the Amazon. Without knowing, they stumbled upon the territory of the amphibious creature, Gillman. The creature takes an interest to Kay, the girl in the group. Yes, I know, it's the classic Beauty and Beast trope. The film not only had horror, but great suspense. The creature is played by two actors, Ben Chapman, who plays the creature on land, and Rico Browning, who did the underwater scenes. On top of wearing a suit that covers him from head to toe, the actor had to hold his breath underwater for up to 4 minutes at a time. Luckily, Mr. Browning was a good swimmer, and even did stunts underwater scenes in other films. The Creature from the Black Lagoon was followed by Revenge of the Creature and The Creature Walks Among Us. But my favorite will always be the first one. "12 Angry Men." My dad kept recommending this film to me. It was on my must-see list of films, and when I finally watched it, well, we'll get to that part in the end. A jury is brought into a room and must decide on a guilty or not guilty verdict. The person on trial is a teenager who's being convicted for the murder of his father, and if found guilty, the teen gets the death sentence. Straight away, the stakes are high. All the men are referred by their juror number rather than their actual names. At first, everyone thinks the teenager is guilty of the crime. Everyone except juror number 8, played by Henry Fonda.
Do you believe his story?
I don't know whether I believe it or not. Maybe I don't.
So how come you vote not guilty?
Well, there were 11 votes for guilty. It's not easy to raise my hand and send a boy off to die without talking about it first.
He wants to sit down and discuss the case before he decides on anything. And when asked why, he simply says he has a reasonable doubt. So the men chat about the case, all the evidence, the witnesses, all the way up to the statements and to the teenager himself. The more they talk, the more they realize that there were a lot of facts that were glossed over.
He was born in a slum. Slums are breeding grounds for criminals. I know it, and so do you.
There are some jurors that are dead set on a guilty verdict. And as the film goes on, we learn that each of the men have their reasons. We may not agree with them, but in some small way, we do understand why.
I'm just saying a coincidence is possible.
And I say it's not possible.
Henry Fonda is always portraying these level-headed characters. He's not shy about speaking the harsh reality at times. And this clashes with the other jurors, particularly juror number 3.
What's the matter with you guys? You all know he's guilty. He's got to burn. You're letting him slip through our fingers.
Slip through our fingers? Are you his executioner?
I'm one of them.
Perhaps you'd like to pull the switch.
For this kid, you bet I would.
As the film goes on, tensions grow, and we're left wondering, will these men ever come to a decision? The film takes place in one room. The characters do get up from their seats. I love seeing them explore this one place. It's hot in the room, everyone is sweating, and it even rains outside at one point.
And you guys ever go to the garden? That's a damn stupid thing to do. Oh, I'm sorry,
It's a film that relies on dialogue, but in this case, it works. After all, we didn't get to see the court scenes, so the jurors have to recap what went on and what was said in the court. The jurors explained in such vivid details that you can almost picture it in your head.
This woman was about 45 years old. She's making a tremendous effort to look 35.
The film didn't do so well in the box office in America. Critics complained of the film being an all-white cast of men, and that the film was black and white. But I think it works with the concept of not all things are black and white, but in this case, it is. Guilty or not guilty.
Came home to get his knife. It's not nice to go around leaving knives sticking in people's chests.
Yeah, especially relatives.
Yeah.
The film did earn recognition worldwide. Henry Fonda was awarded Best Actor in the British Academy Awards. The film is based off a 1953 teleplay with the same name. I later read the two-act play that was written in 1967, and for the most part, it does follow the original story. The only major difference is that you don't see the teenager on trial, but in the beginning of the film, we do. I don't know if that was done on purpose or not. My final verdict? I thought the film was great. It was impactful, smart, and even emotional at times. It had a great story, with a great cast of characters. I say, out of all the films on this list, 12 Angry Men is the one I recommend the most. And that's why it's my #1 pick for the 1950s. I rest my case. And there you have it. I hope you cool cats enjoyed this video. If you have any thoughts on these films or have any recommendations, please share in the comments. Next video, we're heading over to the 60s. As always, stay classy.
As for me, I'm too cool to stay classy.